acknowledge this as a Métis homeland and the home of the largest communities of Inuit south of 60th Avenue. It is a welcoming place for all people who come from all around the world to share as Edmonton as home. Together, we call upon all of our collective honor, traditions, and spirits to work in building a great city today and future generations. When I was researching, in fact, I spent a lot of time to call myself Edmontonian, and there are many issues, and issues reflect opportunities. And as much as there are some burning issues, I'll name a few and then pass it on to you. So to hear your thoughts, did you hear the same, or what is in your words, what is the rising issue? Safer Edmonton, LRT, construction, housing, inflow, homelessness, property taxes and affordability. Same coin, I think, the beast, I guess, it is the moon, but also has been in So with that said, I'll pass it on to you, and I'll start with Joseph and go towards my right here. Joseph, you've knocked thousands of doors. Does any of these issues resonate with you, and what is going in your world?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for arranging everything for us so that we can have a platform for us to share our views. In my world, the main issues we are facing are, number one, is the infill issue. Infill is a big issue in my area, and the second one is the construction, which is endless. And how I'm going to tackle these issues. I will start with the infill one.
Before that, is the voice audible in the back? Because maybe just bring the mic a little closer to you. Little closer. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the infill issue, this problem, I think, is because of the lack of, what I can say, the people we have right now in the council are disconnected with the people. They're just doing these things on themselves without even consulting the people. So if I'm elected into council, I'll have a moratorium put in the council to make sure we suspend all the new infills. We take an audit of what has been done, what are the issues, and we check with the people. It should be the people in that ward or in that area should have a power and say they should be able to veto what is happening there. I want us to have infills which are accepted by the people who live there. So that's number one. I also need infills which doesn't impact the livelihood of people. When people buy houses in a certain neighborhood, they do it for a certain reason. And now when that is being disturbed, it's a big issue. And when I look at the construction also, which is happening like in my ward, it's ridiculous. So how do we do it? I need construction which is well structured, well thought for. As somebody who has traveled the world, been to everywhere, I've seen construction being done. I'll give you an example. In China, you can have a bridge built in 3 months. But if you look here, the same bridge, you need 3 years. So something is very wrong. We need new leaders in the council. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Moving on to Rupesh. As you have been moving, knocking homes, the issues which I said, I'm sure that you've heard some voices and noises. What has been the top issue in your campaign?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, thank you to V4U Radio, to Rupesh and everyone who's here. There have been many issues, and it depends on, the report is very diverse, right? The Essex, which is the southwest part of Edmonton. If you're in north of Henday, you get the more established neighborhoods. If you're south of Henday, it's very different as well. But they all circle around one issue, and that's trust. And people just don't feel like they can trust City Hall to do it properly, I should say. So whether it be planning and construction, whether it be safer streets, any of these issues, or give value for your property taxes, it all circles around people not feeling trustworthy of this council. And that's why you see the incumbents are in trouble, right? If when you see across the board that they're all in trouble, that tells you something, that trust is broken. And so that's where I would say the underlying issue that we're hearing from everybody is that they just don't trust that the city hall or the city can do anything properly. So you go south of my ward, the main issue is construction and congestion. These are newly established neighborhoods where they haven't been planned properly. You have 2-lane roadways to accompany thousands and thousands of homes. And people are just like, how did you approve these plans to begin with? Well, the next city council is going to approve the land south of my ward, going all the way to the annex lands to the airport. You got to have people who can think about this strategically, who ask the right questions. If you're going to put all these homes here, are you going to build a road that's a little bit wider, for example, right? I'm not sure why these decisions were made the way they were, but those are some of the big issues around the south, is congestion, but also safety. There's a lot of car thefts that are happening. People just, every door I go to, everyone's got a security system. I mean, that's maybe just a standard, but it's something telling about that, right? You go to the north part of my ward, and people are fearful that their communities are going to change because of issues like infill. And so it's not that they're against infill, but they're, again, don't trust that the city is thinking about it the right way, that they don't have good design standards, that they're not going to be brought along with all these changes. And so that's the biggest issue there, is just trust whether the city is going to take care of the community or not. And so that's what you're seeing more on the north side of the world.
Thank you so much, Rupesh, for that great thoughts and your point of view. Every part of the city shares some common and some unique as well. Moving on to two. Same question to you. You've got thousands of homes in the last few months, and I'm sure there's a common sentiment. I'll come back to you all as well. I would like to know for the listeners which ward, how you define your ward as well. So maybe we'll come back again, but coming to you, maybe also tell us which ward, what's the demographic of the ward, and what are the few burning issues you saw, you heard when you were camping?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, everybody. My name is Tu Parmar. Tu is pronounced like the number in between 1 and 3. I am running in Ward CP Weeniwak, and so the easiest way to pronounce it is ABC, so C, P, elemental P, Ween like Halloween, and Ewok like Star Wars. So CP Weeniwak is the best way to pronounce it. Our team has been to 35,000 doors and counting. And so what we hear very similar is around a lack of trust with City Hall, but also a lack of engagement as well. And so a lot of times people feel that City Council is shoving decisions down people's throats. Very similar to what you said, that list is completely accurate. We go from infills from the northern part of our area, from our ward, from Parkview and Laurier, but I would say even the suburbs are worried about the infill policy because it jeopardizes their value. The most expensive asset that they will ever have is people's homes. But we absolutely have a housing affordability as well. But I think that there are different ways and different options that we could actually solve both people's problems. I think what we also see at the doors is people want us to take a hard stance on a lot of things, black or white. But if you're an experienced leader, you have to work in the gray. You know that it's not always a black or white decision and that there are nuances to a lot of the things. I think we need to make sure that we as City Council are seen as leaders. In Edmonton, we're also seen as leaders from a provincial government perspective and a federal government perspective. And what I really hear is that people want leadership who respects what they're saying, who can listen to what they're saying, and actually do things. And so exactly what you're talking about, construction, property tax, those are the top two. And then we start to get into infills and safety. Everybody deserves to feel safe in Edmonton, and so we absolutely need to make sure that people feel safe regardless of which ward we're all representing. So thank you.
Thank you, too. And coming to our another friend, Councillor candidate Nikki Bokwan. Nikki, I have seen you many times in the legislature, and I know exactly how hardworking you are, and you're have been following the campaigns as well. So thank you so much for doing such a great job in the campaign. Same question to you as well. Please maybe let our viewers know which ward you would represent, what is the demographic issues again in that ward which you mostly heard, and then we come to the solutions as well. I'm sure that each one of you are getting some assurance as well. But going to you.
So first of all, thank you for doing this for this forum. And good afternoon. My name is Nicky Gokwan. I'm running to be a city councilor for Ward 1, Nicola Ista. And Ward 1 Nicola Ista is bounded by White Mud, 231st Street, Deep West, all the way to the Big Lakes. And then on the east side of things, it goes all the way to Road Road and all the way to 111th Avenue. So it's a pretty big ward. What I've heard from the doors is, in the east side of things, is we're talking about Enfield, obviously, responsible Enfield. No one is against Enfield, it's just how things are done. And I talk about this in my videos and how we do things, and the way we do things in the city has changed a lot, and it's affected a lot of people. And if you go to the midsection of the ward, we're talking about crime, petty crimes. And those petty crimes, yeah, you could say petty crimes, but again, in society, we don't want petty crimes. It starts with petty crime, and then it grows bigger and bigger, because again, if there's no consequence to things, then we'll have greater issues down the road. Right? This is what scares people, because it starts with petty crime. And then Deep West, we're talking about infrastructure. Obviously, everyone's talking about traffic and planning. And I've been in the ward, lived in the ward for 50 years, and I've been in Canada for 5. And I've talked to current councillor and say, well, we should expand Winterburn Road. And this is the last 10 years we're talking about this, and the expansion hasn't been seen. I know they say it's coming, but until I see the budget, until I see a vote from council, that's not counted, right? So those are the issues that I've heard, and we need to address this. And to not talk about what has been said by my fellow colleagues here, I would say that the biggest issue again is listening to the people. If we don't consult properly, we'll go the wrong way. In the last 4 years, there has been a lot of mistakes done because of the consultation side. We are not transparent with our consultation. We need to change those wordings as well, okay? On a communication standpoint, right? There's a lot of items that they put out over there. Oh, we're rezoning this area. We're rezoning R3 to R5. Who among you knows what R3, R5? You have to go research. Let's be honest about this, right? So why don't you just say, okay, it's a multi-family and now we're converting it to residential area? Make it simple. Make it even a grade 6 should understand this. Don't use highfalutin words. Don't complicate things. What we're trying to do is complicate things, and then now people get lost. Let's say another issue, and I'd like to raise this because this is very important, okay? So elections are very important because this is a democratic country, right? That's our right to vote our leaders. And they're disconnected because of the ward names right now, okay? So we need to ensure that people are aware why we're doing this, and with due respect, right? Those names, I have good relationship with indigenous people, right? And I respect that, and I like those names. I have no issues with that. But why did we take out the number? So those numbers what people identify to, and down the road, if we take out the number, they'll identify them with those names, right? But we can't just take out the number and just change the name outright. It's hard to connect with people that way. Thank you.
That's a very passionate statement. I loved your spirit and your energy. Going to my last but not the least, a person who we've seen for many, many years and reappearing and contesting for as a city councillor, Jennifer Rice. You've been a great friend. I have met with you many times, Jennifer. Same question to you, but I know you have got an advantage over others because you already have seen some things. You have 30,000 review. What is new this time? Anything in your ward you've been hearing which you would like to share?
Thank you so much and for this opportunity. And then thank you all of you come here and to watch this. And also we want to say thank you V4U and to provide an opportunity for our candidates and to share what we heard. And from the people we are actually going to represent them. So this is so important for us. And also I want to say thank you all of you, and maybe some of us will become colleagues working in City Hall soon. In 2 days, 3 days, we will do that. So I'm Jennifer Rice, I'm City Councilor for the ward EP So that is the longest word name, and many my constituents told me at the door, so they cannot pronounce the name, they cannot spell the name. So I told them I have to practice so many times, and you break down to 8 syllables. It's 21 years long. You break down 8 syllables, EPOC. So that is the longest name, and when they cannot say, they say it will just come from the words the longest name and across the city. So as the first term city councilor, I was elected 2021. So this first 4 years is very challenging. And then as many of you talked about, Edmontonians are not happy for the direction the current council moving. So recently, some of you probably already saw the news, and from city news, they did the exclusive inside poll and to choose 74% of Edmontonians and disagree or unhappy or dissatisfied, and then with the current council direction moving forward. But one question come to me and really significant is, I heard at the door as well. So yourself, Councillor Jennifer Rice, with another councillor, you are actually painted by the media as the unofficial opposition to the current council. So which means, what does that mean to me? And people ask. So my answer is very clear. What does that mean to me? Means I listen to the people. I hold the council and the state administration accountable for the direction we're moving forward. So people really appreciate it. You are not part of the problem. Actually, you are doing, you have been doing, you are doing, you will do, and people right now asking for council for so many years. And we want to continue and to be our counselor and keep doing what you have been doing, because you have been doing already. People ask so many times. So I'm so happy to hear that is actually giving motivation and then encourage me to continue to fight for the people and their opinion, their perspective. And from our public engagement, and even though our city, to be fair to our state administration, we have really comprehensive public engagement process. But why our public still feel like our voice is not heard? Why? What's the problem there? Did anybody look at why this big question mark there, even though we have really comprehensive public engagement process? We did budget public hearing, we did infill public hearing, we did new zoning bylaw public hearing. Even before this summertime, we have that long 5 days public hearing, and finally, something happened in council. And so we do have this, why our public still feel like our voice not heard and our voice not be reflected in the decision this council made. That means, as our leader, everyone was sitting here, when we make decisions, do we have basic value and do we have basic fundamental principle? We are fighting for the people. We're not fighting for the party. We're not fighting for ideology. We're fighting for what the people's needs. what's the people communities needs. I think that is so important and for us to understand that, and I will continue to implement that principle and fight for that principle and continually as a counselor, and we will know October 20th. So we'll vote for Jennifer Rice and vote for the people. I'm sorry I say that, and who are actually standing fighting for you. That's what's most important. Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I'll just check for time as well. How are we doing for time?
It's 4:30.
Perfect. So I want to thank Edmonton Public Library for giving me this such a great, it's a city. The venue couldn't have been better than this, and so I know that they have given me a task to be out by 6 o'clock. However, 5:30 we want to end this. We still have a lot of time. And coming back to Joseph, it's you. This is your first time in this elections, and as much as the hard work you've done, I think the audience, your voters, want to get some assurance as well. As much as they've tried to tell you the issues, you know it all. What is one assurance in your own words and based on, and again, sometimes it's a good frustration, bad frustration, and it's a good frustration. We all have got the full right to be loud and be heard, because this is going to bring the change. With that said, Joseph, what is one assurance you're giving to your voters so that they should pick your name when they're going to elect, or when they're going to, for the ballots?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Right, why they should choose Joseph?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a man for the people. I represent the people. I'm not representing any party. The people are my party. So I'll get major decisions from the people. That's the first one. The second one, why Joseph? Joseph is qualified. I have a master's degree in leadership and also in business. So I am somebody who has been an operations manager for more than 15 years in an organization which is so big that it would be very easy for me to make good decisions in a council with 12 or 13 people. So people should vote for Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rupesh, coming to you with the same question. As much as there are so many challenges, and we don't expect that we will solve all the issues. I mean, you all know that. We have to be, what is one assurance you are giving to your voters when they go to the live polls this on the 20th? Why should they pick Rupesh?
Look, I think that people are looking for change. And if you actually want change, you need people who actually know how government works. Doesn't mean every councillor needs to know how government works, but there's actually only a select few out of all the candidates in this election who knows how the system works from the inside. So I worked in government for the last 4 years in the city of Edmonton. I worked with the government of Alberta for about 9. Knowing how city administration functions, the kind of information that they pass forward to council, knowing the questions to ask city administration. Much of the job of a councillor is to digest council reports, ask city administration questions. But if you don't know if city administration is, maybe not sharing this, or they have another initiative here, if you don't know these things, you don't even know how to ask these questions. That's my advantage, is that I'm an insider who can help fix that change. And that's what I've been telling voters, and it's resonated because they're like, I do want that change. And for a lot of politicians who are new to the job, it might take a year or two to get your feet wet. For me, I can hit the ground running because I know how the system actually works out. So that's what I would say to you.
Thank you. So to the question to you again, the same. You have not, you have worked hard, almost time. One assurance you would like to give to your voters, why should they pick you in this election?
Yeah, I think that when you are applying for a job, you want to look at what you've done in the past and what your experience is. And so I am a healthcare professional. I've been a pharmacist for 21 years. And so I work very collaboratively with other people. I've also been able to work in private industry. I've worked in business. I come from a family of small business owners. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 1 month old. And now I'm currently the vice president of the Canadian Red Cross. And so with that experience, I know exactly how to hit the ground running. I know how to start on day one. You know, I work for the provincial government. I changed the way that pharmacies are paid in Alberta. So 14 years ago, I wrote a policy, one of the first policies about if you get an immunization at the pharmacy, if you get a refill at the pharmacy. I actually wrote that, and so I have the ability to see long-term vision and be able to put practical solutions in place. I worked for the during the Jasper wildfires, I've worked with the federal government, the provincial government, and the municipality of Jasper, and a lot of different other cities, and so I've seen the way that other cities do things, and it's not always the Edmonton way, and so we need to have that innovation, we need to have that leadership, we need to have people who can see the systems from a 50,000-foot view and be able to put the pieces together and actually do things. I've also been a president of the Community League and raised almost $3 million to build a spray park, a skating rink, and a 4,000 square foot community building in the ward. And so I've had to work with almost every department at the city of Edmonton. And so I already know where we can have efficiencies and be able to break down those silos on all of the government levels. And so for me, my assurance to our constituents is that I am going to be a hard worker. You've seen it before the election, you're going to see it after the election. That hard work will continue, and that I will be in the communities, I will be accessible, I will be there to have conversations about how to make the communities better, and we will do it.
Thank you so much. Coming to Nikki, again, the question is the same. For me, you already are winners, to be honest, but putting a name down and working so hard, selflessly, knocking doors, trying to understand, so you're winners, but there's another way to define it. So if you have to assure your voters, what is something you will assure them that they should take Nikki when we are going to propose this on year?
Because I'm one of the best, if not the best. My experience will lead to that. I was a journalist for 2 decades. So I've listened to a lot of people, always written their stories, always I fought for them. This is no different. My previous job is the same thing. I listen to a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, engage with people, and bring solutions forward. So I'm just wanting to get elected so I can represent them properly. I'm not an elected official in my previous job, but I can represent people better if I'm elected, and I can be a voice. And as simple as that, operation management experience, 8 years, 5 years security consulting, and some government experience, and 2 decades of journalist experience. So that I could hit the ground running and with community input. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer, I'm sure that this question you must have heard many times, and you have already thought in your mind that this is a few ways or few assurances, but I think the audience would like to know. I'm not sure if you guys know we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so this is the first time, trust me, V4U Radio is experimenting, and I think it's going very well. But coming back to Jennifer, you the same question. What is one assurance you would like to give your voters in your ward? I would not even try pronouncing, but I know your commitment shows by mastering that word so very well, the commitment is there. But what is the other assurances you would give?
This is actually a great question, and let me answer from a different angle. Why people voted for the leaders? And because as a councillor, when we make decision, our policy, our action, our behaviors, and it impacts people's daily life. Because then people want to vote someone to that leadership position, they can bring the positive impact to our community and to the people's daily life, to our society. So then, if that is the case, I think there are 2 reasons for people why I can ensure them they should vote for me. And then I answered this question many times at door already, and specifically as the incumbent. And so I would like to say, as an incumbent, I'm not provide the promise, and actually proves what I have done. So many people describe me as a counselor gate system, and because as this leader specifically, based on my first term experience, there are two hats on our head. One is representative. What does that mean? Representative means you make sure you represent people. How do you measure that? That means you actually address their concerns, make sure their voice to be heard, and then provide the real results. That is something I have so many records and so many achievements, and people happy to tell me, and you are actually the counselor, get some stuff. So that's number one. Number two, the policymaker. The policymaker, every time when we are in the chamber, when we make a decision, voting yes or no, and as you know, every time when the 7 councilors say yes, and that become our policy, we have to implement. So, but yes or no is not just about for Jennifer Rice. Yes or no is about the people Jennifer Rice represents. How that impacts voting. So, when I make decision, if you look at voting records, recently Admin Journal just published the voting records, and for the past 4 years, and people really proudly told me, we are so happy for you to represent us, because your voting records reflect our voice, and also reflect people requesting right now for the next council. So that means I come here and for people to ensure I have records, I have results, I have actions already proved I have done what you're asking for. So I will continue for the next 4 years to do what you have been asking for. That is the reason, no other reason.
Thank you. Folks, I would like to tell you one thing, that it makes me feel so proud that I had 2 options to introduce you as a guest and a distinguished guest. You are in the category of now distinguished guest. So I feel proud when I use the word distinguished, because you have earned the right to be in that class of citizens, because you have chosen to be a little bit more providing service to the city of Edmonton and Edmontonians. How are we doing for time?
It's 4:45.
Perfect. So we are running very well. It would be remiss if I do not get the audience to maybe see if they have any questions, because they have purposefully come to be part of it. I would maybe see if the audience, and I'll see if they're all interested. How about, there's a mic here, remember wired, and if you are too far away, okay, so there's a question here, and his team, Nikki Bokwan, of course, so why don't you come forward and take the mic and ask the question, if that's okay with you? And so, but your question cannot be for Nikki.
No.
Okay, perfect. So how about this? How about this? Let's be fair. The first question, so we'll go from my left to right. So again, the question you ask will be answered by Joseph, and the second person would, we will just, so that every individual gets a chance to ask. So not all the questions, one question you will get.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a professional social worker. So I want to put that on the record, right? So which means I'm basically the voice of the people, because I get to see what no one else sees. Number one, I'm so glad to see Jennifer Rice, to see Nikki, to see Prom, right? Not you, I'm gonna need to practice that. But Joseph, I think it's a brave, or heroic, choice to really be there for the people. God bless you. But the question is actually for Patel and Jennifer Rice, because you guys have been the insiders, right? Whether you are homeowners right now, it's crazy. So we see the spike of, anything that has to do with the mortgage, the tax property, property tax there's a spike. So, and nothing is being indexed to the inflation of the cost of life. So what is it that you guys, so we are number one, what's the essence of that spike? Where does it come from? What's your voting record around that? Okay, 2, why, for example, I did this political sciences, I know when you were truly, and I appreciate actually what you're doing right now, is You do what our sister over there has been doing. You go there, you say, this is the program, you draw a policy around it, you find the people to collaborate with, you put it out. And that's how we do. Why, for example, I haven't seen you guys, Raisa Sora, to tell, I never, your brother, you're great, but I've never seen you standing on somewhere you say, I'm choosing to stand out for people, to speak up for them, because I am dissatisfied with what's going on in this city. So why should we trust you now?
So, sorry. I have to make it simple because it's a loaded question, so I didn't forget. So, this question, if I understood correctly, is around the hike in the mortgage, of course, that's not property tax. Let's put it this way. Joseph, how do you attempt to answer that question for our brother? I could get your name.
Oh, my name is Jimmy Eves, but I go by JY.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. So, my first answer is, I think from what Jennifer Rice said, the whole of Edmontonians are dissatisfied with the current council. So if 75% of Edmontonians are not satisfied with the current council, we need new leaders. We need new people in the council. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to taxes, if you go to my platform, www.voteforjoseph.ca, you see what are my priorities on taxes. I am against the tax increase. I'm going to ask when I get in to make sure we are going to freeze the tax increase. I don't want that the tax increase which I have been reading and seeing. I don't like that. So we are going to freeze the tax. That's number one. And people are going to say, oh, but Joseph, we need money to develop the city. How are we going to get the money? Let's diversify the economy. Let's diversify where we get our money. Don't just go to Tom, Tim, Jane, and Joseph and get the money. Thank you.
So I heard two things, freezing the taxes and diversifying the economy. Guys, you are listening. Yes, we have to hold people responsible as well. But thank you so much for that answer. I fully support the logic and answers. Moving to the question, but we want to have a second question.
Can I just answer that just because it's
yes, please.
I just want to be clear. So I wasn't a city councilor. When I say working from the inside, I worked in city administration. So I'm not able to vote. Now, when you said stand up for things that are going on, as a public servant, your job is to implement the votes and the will of the city council. So Councilor Rice and all the other councilors, when they vote, my job as a public servant is to implement loyally whatever the decision is of the council. So I just want to make that very clear. Now, my position on property taxes is that I want to make sure we get value for money with those dollars. So, for example, our basic core services have not kept up with the growth of our city. If you go to the south part of my ward in the SOM, they're not even getting basic snow clearing services. And they're like, I'm paying these high property taxes, but I'm not getting basic services. So I just want to make sure we match our basic core services to the growth of our city. If there's room to spare after that, we can cut taxes, let's do that. But I won't commit to cutting taxes just because I do believe that it's important that people do get those basic services to begin with. Now, there is an important point that Joseph raised about how do we diversify our tax revenue. We need to look at that for sure. And so the south part of my ward, land that's annexed all the way to the airport, that is ripe for foreign investment where we can attract industrial and commercial growth. That's a great way of expanding our tax revenue. That's not going to happen overnight though. That's going to take some time, right? And so in the meantime, people need basic services. I want to make sure we get them there. There's room to spare and we can cut taxes. But I just wanted to clarify that because I don't have a voting record because I worked in the public service and that was the job of public service.
Going back to your question, I also heard Jennifer, as a moderator, I'll be very fair, I promise. So I heard, please, why don't you write?
And because the questions about our voting records, and so I think I need to respond to that questions. In terms of our city's property taxes, before I respond to your question, I really want to provide you the basic information. And for our city's 2025, our city's budget, and if you look at our city's specific operational budgets, and 58% of our revenue come from our tax. So that is actually a really high percentage. So for me, and first of all, voting records, actually, I'm proud to answer this question. Some people say you should not be proud to, you vote no all the time. I said, why not? Why not? I am one of the 2 councillors voted no all the time for the tax increase. But only one time that it happened, 2021, right after I was elected, I put the motion to our sales taxes only increase for 2022 as the lowest tax increase across the entire country as 1.9%. The reason for me to fight for that is after COVID, many families needs, families, our business, our cities, services, everything, we need a recovery. And we should not jump to the high taxes at that point. And at that specific year, we had $6 million from our APCO dividends. So for that dividends, we should go back, give back to our taxpayers and to reduce the tax increase. So I have been fighting really hard. My motion put on, so the vote passed 7-6, only 1 vote different. And so that means in 2022, our city luckily we got lowest tax increase for 2022. But from 2023, the tax increase started really high, 8.9%, you probably remember, and over 7%, over 6.9%, and then in 2025, and a little bit lower is 5.7 or 5.9%. I have to refresh my memory. But it is not about the number itself. There are 2 points the public needs to know. Number one, the any tax increase percentage is compounded. So in the past 4 years, we increased over 25%. Compounded. So public needs to know this. Now, this is number one. And number 2 is the question, did we receive the similar value and then from your tax you paid to provide our city's core services, which is defined under Municipal Government Act, we call MGA. Did we achieve that goal? And if you look at the budget allocation, how many percentage of the snow removal budget we budgeted? How many percentage of our capital budget and from tax supported portion to support the infrastructure improvement, in particular for the south area, for the node capacity increase to support the population growth and in South Island area. For example, 41st Avenue, Alice Road widening, 41st Avenue widening, and all major roads in South Island area, and people who live there struggling with traffic congestion. And can you imagine when people living in RR told me they come in, come out, take 30 minutes? No, they can't. That is unacceptable.
So, Jennifer, I'll interject here, but yeah, great point. Giving a chance to another distinguished guest. In fact, Dr. Patel is here, who's also a candidate of the Edmonton Public School Trustee Board today with us. Thank you for coming. You have another question, so please. So the question will be taken by 2. Putting your spot because I want to give everyone a chance to speak. So, go with the question. Yes.
Hello. I just came from the campaign, so little dusty. I'm Dhaval Patel, and I'm also running for the school board trustee. And the biggest concern I found during my campaign is the student safety. When the student goes take the LRT at the LRT stations, they feel fear. And the other biggest question I found from the parents is the permission of giving the cannabis store and the liquor stores closer to the schools. So what is the policy of opening those type of schools? And how can we keep our students safer? So I can say, if you start with Jennifer and then other people.
No, I'll try to figure out.
Oh yeah, sure, why not? Anyway, thank you.
No, it's a great question, and congratulations on putting your name forward as well. I believe that everybody in Edmonton deserves to feel safe regardless of where they are and how they transport in the city. I have knocked on so many doors who have told me that they've actually been assaulted on the LRT, that they know somebody that's been assaulted on the LRT, that they've been, people have spit on them. And so this is a twofold answer, because we are seeing an increase of people who are experiencing homelessness in the city. We have upwards of 5,000 people, which is an all-time high in the city. So we need to make sure that we have places for these individuals to go, because they're using our LRT as shelter. They're using our, our transit stations as shelter. So we need to work with our provincial government and our federal government to actually deal with the homelessness problem that we have right now. We have a homelessness problem, we have a drug problem, we have a mental health problem, but these 5,000 individuals that are on our streets right now, we need to get them in safe spaces and wraparound services to be able to get them to places, to get them where they want to be. We need to meet people where they're at. At the same time, we need people to take our public transit. The LRT is the most expensive infrastructure project that this city has built, and we need to make sure that it's on budget, on time, and that people use it. The way that it's going to be safe is if more people use it, but if people don't feel safe on it, they're not going to use it. So we need to do a lot of things. So a couple of things that we need to do is we need to make sure that when there are turnstiles to get into our new stations, you need to have gates. You need to have, you need to make sure that people are paying to get onto the LRT, because we also have fare evasion as well. You also need to make sure that we actually have people there who can do something. So if we have security, but what security can do is call the police, that's not what we need. We need to have transit officers there. We need to have peace officers who actually have the ability to do something. We also need to have places to take individuals who are, like I said, using open drugs on the train. We need to get them out of there. And so we need to do a dual purpose. There's also opportunities for us to work with other partners to get more people on the train. So we think about Commonwealth Stadium, we think about Oilers games, we think about things that are happening in other areas of the city. So we need to make sure that we're partnering and trying to get as many people on the train as possible. The train needs to be safe and efficient for people to use. And right now when I knock on doors, I don't hear that at the doors. And so we need to make sure it's safe, number one, and we need to make sure that it's efficient. We can't expect everybody to take a bus to the LRT or to, ride their bike to the LRT. We do need to figure out how to have people who can drive, and making sure that it's efficient to get to that LRT, especially in the West End with the Valley LRT line. We have an opportunity to redesign that so that people will use that West End line, and we can get people on the train and making sure that they're safe.
Thank you.
Something on the discussion again?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the owner is the point about the school zone and safety. So 11 Southwest zone was a school over there. So there's a daycare, there's a liquor store, okay, hospital. That's totally fine. But my son goes to the school grade 7, and there was a message that someone is distributing the candies. Okay, the candy could be anything. So how do you ensure that our school zone is safe? Not every parent can go in the morning and the evening to see what is happening around there. So, and sometimes they send a message, okay, there's a van that waits for the van with the classes, please be careful. We will be careful as a parent, but what about the safety for the schools?
So, great question, and I know that when I was doing a small survey before, everybody just think what is the top one. Which crime and safety came up as the top issue in question. Further to alluding to that question, of course, again, it's not that we want to cut short this conversation. I'm sure all of you have your own views. Nikki, why don't you take this question about and further maybe elaborate your thoughts as you are knocking those doors about the crime and safety and the combination of when you see this daycare, the liquor store, and a cannabis store, what comes to your mind? And if you were, assume that you are taking a seat there, I'm sure you've got some power to now influence as well.
Well, we need to think outside the box, okay? So if there's issues with people handing out candies, right, if you look at the current structure of food, then we have what we call safety inspectors that randomly do checks, right? And we need that in communities as well. You know, they have to go out there, they have to be out there and do their checks and run their checks. I know you're not gonna catch everything, but if you're doing random checks and people going around, then that will make a difference, that will definitely make a difference. Now, as far as crime and safety, obviously, you know, I heard that from the doors, having worked, 5 years in security consulting and know a lot of what's happening downtown, break-in enters, how they break in. You know, in a good way, I've worked with the police, and to be fair, they work so hard, and we are missing a lot of police, okay? So we need to hire more police. There's not enough, okay? So that's why, whose point, we need the peace officers, we need the sheriffs. That's why provincially, the province have packed the sheriffs, right? To add manpower, and we need to also get the police officers involved. Why is that? If there's not enough manpower, we need to pair them up, because the authorities of the police and the authorities of the sheriff, the authority of the peace officers, not the same. We have to understand that they don't understand that they can do certain things. The police has more authority than the other two, right? And then technology is out there. So on hotspots, we need to deploy CCTV cameras. Technology is already out there. Technology has helped the police a lot, okay? In my previous job, we helped the police respond to incidents, active incidents. And that's what we've been doing. We've seen that police are there, right? But not knowing, you can't respond to things you don't know, right? And we need to get the community involved. Very, very important. We've lost a lot of the neighborhood watch. People have started after COVID, yawns. After COVID, what has happened is that people are now shying away from, COVID is done, right? There's no more COVID. We need to work together as a community, right? And ensure that everyone is safe. If we can get the police out, if you have a police officer, let's say, and you have a sheriff out there, two of them work buddy, and then we have the neighborhood patrols coming out, that will definitely cut down on crime.
Great, thank you. As Edmontonians, I think we can be cheerleaders for three biggest assets we have: the Edmonton Public School, the Edmonton Police, the Edmonton Firefighters. I feel we will always be indebted to these three services, and many more, of course, but the assets are owned by the city, and of course they work very hard to really provide us the basic services. I also have a friend, Sandeep Madhok, had a question, so maybe why don't you come and ask a question? So, okay, you can go with the question, and I'll be fair, just making sure that each one of you gets the chance to. So coming back to maybe, again, Joseph and then the question. So, question is going to. Yes.
So I'm into healthcare. I've been a banker before, so now I help almost 250 families to take care of the seniors athletics. Just asking a very simple question, that what we are doing to build new assisted living facilities, or why it's so complex to get permissions, or there is a big gap. If anyone of you can tell, if some person apply for assisted living, what's the waiting? It's 270, 250. You have to apply different places. You have to go to out of city, St. Albert, Fort Saskatchewan. You cannot have your city here in Edmonton. People like us have solution. City can approve it, work with AHS. I mean, some of you will say this is AHS question, I understand that. So, but we cannot go with it. You cannot leave this topic as is. You talk about kids. It's simpler to open a canopy house near a school rather than opening a group home in Edmonton. Believe me, what we are going to do for our seniors, we have aging population. We all are getting late. I mean, every second we are getting older, not younger. So, this is
good question. So Sandeep's question, did you get the question, Jennifer? The question is regarding the complications in approving a canvas house or canvas store versus a group home. Why is it so complicated, and what can be done to improve the process? And again, not putting you in the spot. If anyone of you has a desire to take up this question, please let me know. Maybe I'll pass it on. But Jennifer, starting with you. With this question on group homes, how can you make it simpler?
Group homes for our seniors.
Yes.
So just correct me if my understanding is that right. I heard the question is about, so you are in comparison and for the permit process between cannabis store and the seniors group home.
That was,
I want to provide proper information.
I'm sorry for not being clear. That was sarcasm when I said it's easy to open a cannabis store rather than helping a senior moving to assisted living or a group home or opening a new group home. Yes.
Okay.
It's difficult. CD has, if anyone of you can open CD's website, start applying for permits and permission, believe it's going to take your professionals' help to be all that. Yes.
So if that is the case, so I want to be very clear, the cannabis store and the opening, and any cannabis store and when they do, that is not the use process, and they received recently application, the bylaw approval. For the information, the cannabis store come to council and seek approval from land use perspective, and then I personally vote no. So that is one information. Second information, if our current city's or business license or permit process is made so difficult, and for people try to build our group home for the seniors, that's definitely needs change. So as a current city councillor, this is actually the first time I heard that feedback. But for the next term, if I was elected, I'm going to look into it and improve that process.
Can I add one thing? I was doing this application yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not like long time ago. I have my own group, so I was trying to get a license. And if I have any one of you who do this permit thing by yourself, believe me, I'm a professional, I was able to imagine what will happen to a person who wants to just start. And this is
very
part of community
good
service.
point.
Yeah. So this is
Very
part of
good
community
point.
service.
I think the question he's trying to say, how to simplify the process of
Simplify the
applying.
process. And simplify the process and also cut, we call the red tape. And then from the process, improve the efficiency. And so that is something and we need to keep in mind. And for any city process, not only this one, but I'm so glad this brought to our attention right now.
Great. We'll keep time in mind. However, Joseph put his hand up. He wants to answer a point, giving him a chance, and then we'll move on. Joseph.
Thank you so much for the great question. For myself, my wife is a nurse, so I do understand these things. I can classify it as missed priorities. That's why we have wrong people in wrong positions. That's why they need these current councillors to go. These people, they don't know what they are doing. We need new leaders in the council. We need new people who have a new vision for the people. Thank you.
Can I just from working in the city, you're right, it's difficult to apply for many permits. On the business side though, the city has now instituted a bit of like a business liaison team, which helps people who are starting a business to get their permits. Now, I haven't looked into this area that you're talking about, but maybe we could do something similar like that. We can have staff, we can help people apply for a group home or any other kind of permit, so it makes that process easier. But in terms of supporting seniors, we all know the best way to support seniors is if they can stay in their own homes, right? The quality of life. And so for many seniors, though, they don't feel able to access different places. Because I've had a senior in one of the neighborhoods in my ward who's just like, I can't even go see my friends downtown because I don't feel safe enough to go on transit, right? So those are things that we can do, is improve transit frequency, improve safety, to give seniors freedom. The other thing is with our recreational facilities, provide programming. My mom's 70 years old. She loves going to the rec center and enjoys the programming there, but she would wish that there are more types of programs that cater to her, including for people who are, can't speak English, for instance, right? So there are other ways we can support seniors to maintain and preserve their dignity without just, obviously supporting them through assisted living.
Great. How are you, Sam?
510.
No, absolutely. Please. That's your call.
So support seniors, I I want to say this actually, myself, I put lots of effort, and also this current council, and to be fair to them, and we put lots of effort as well. So like you mentioned, the principle I have been fighting for to support seniors to leave their home as long as they can. And how to achieve that goal, we have to take some measures, take some action. So in 2022, I introduced the principle. This principle was implemented in many major cities already, is a tax relief. And for the seniors who leave their home with fixed income, I think I want to add that and to my fellow candidates here to keep in mind, if we are getting into the council, we really need to look into this program and say seniors with fixed income, with our tax, with affordability, the cost of living increased so much, and they deserve to have that tax relief program. So I introduced that, but unfortunately, and then this council did not support it. And I will keep pushing that portion, but in terms of facilities, state-owned facility, I want to know, I want everybody that even watch this, listen to this know, and right now, and I actually initiated this and pushed the council to consider and administration to consider to give seniors these countries. And before we go to the recreation center, even you just only use walking trucks, you have to pay the full day pass. So that is almost $7.99. So right now, based on this program, I'm so proud of to introduce, and you only pay less than half to go use the walking truck in the winter time, specifically outside. So I say no, it's dangerous for our seniors, and seniors can use that, and any city's owned facility across the entire city. So that is support seniors' well-being. So another one is with limited mobility and with seniors, with regular people with limited mobility, and when snowfall coming, and our city will provide a service-based program to help them to remove snow. I would like to share this information, and also this is the program I initiated as well. I'm proud of to do that. And so this is what we have been doing and to support the senior. I hope the next council will continue, because this snow removal program is just a pilot project. I hope I can get your support to continue and to provide this program and to the seniors, to the people with limited mobility.
Thank you. In fact, this is the best one when the candidates are so passionate and moderators have to stop. It shows the engagement. So thank you so much for that answer. Last question for this afternoon. We go with and then we come back. I'm sure that we've got some more time to just wrap it up. However, last question from a friend who's here. Maybe ask the question.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity to ask the question. So, you guys can tell me if it is related to the council or not. Okay. So the question is, I'll come back to the question, but thanks to all my friends, they have asked very important questions regarding property tax, regarding safety at the school. And you spoke about peace officers, you spoke about community patrolling, and everything goes back to that safety thing, right? Stating it, I was ex-peace officer. I was ex-neighborhood watch. I used to work with Southeast Edmonton Police watchdog. So I was there. That services has been stopped funding. It's gone. No Southeast Police is doing patrolling with the neighborhood people. I was a peace officer with the transport safety. I got laid off. Okay. So when we are raising the taxes, on what parameters we are calculating it? When we are slashing down the jobs. And the worst part is, the council, the mayor, the city municipality is not taking back, is not standing up against the province and the federal to stop slashing these jobs and stop getting people, the Edmontonians, laid off from their job. So I'm getting laid off. I cannot do more the community services. I have struggled in finding job back into the city's project. But my property tax is happening there day again. So this is my question.
Warren's question, I don't know if who wants to take us first bite at it. I think the question is, the property taxes go up, support system is going down. how
And
would you, again, I know it would be a more appropriate question if you were sitting at the council and then prioritizing, assume you are. And this question is regarding the prioritizing of how do you use that property taxes towards the betterment of the Edmontonians. Looks like maybe you're ready to start.
So, okay, it's the way they do things. Again, it is an issue of the way the city has been doing things. Okay, we have a big issue with that. Look, we can't even prioritize our snow removal. We borrowed $100 million from light lanes. So you look at how priorities are set, right? Why did we build a $153 million velodrome? Like, do we really need the velodrome? Okay, recreation center, I can understand. Velodrome, how many people know what a velodrome is? Right? And to your point, safety is a big concern. And thank you for what you did, okay, for the communities and for the city. And I feel bad. Honestly, I feel bad that, you got laid off and you're doing a good job for the community. And again, let's focus on our priorities. The wants and the needs, right? Do we really need this? Look at the needs against the wants, right? The wants we can set aside. I've discussed this in my other forums as well, because we need to dial in what really matters most, right? And that's where we get it wrong. That's why we are in this hole now. We have $4.6 billion in debt, right?
Thank you. One,
Actually, the question was why the city municipal is not taking stand against the province and federal to save the job of the people at Edmontonians.
So why the city doesn't stand up for the Edmontonian that lost its job, right? That's what we're trying to say. So if elected, okay, obviously one of the things that we look at, and this would be very similar all across, is we need to do our priorities, right? Set our priorities. What are the priorities? That's how we can dial into what's important and what's not. It's not, you can't just point a finger at one item. Unfortunately, it's not, right? We need to dial in as to what matters most to Edmontonians, and this is going back to listening to people. Thank you.
So about 30 years ago, Edmonton was a different place, maybe even 20 years ago. There were jobs everywhere. When I was in high school, there were 8 job opportunities. I got my first job outside of my family's restaurant by photocopying my resume at Grandin Toy, and the manager hired me on the spot. There were jobs everywhere. Fast forward to today, we have high levels of unemployment. We have people that are not working. We do not have jobs. And that's really, I think, for the governments to be able to stimulate the economy. I've heard from business owners who refuse to expand their businesses in Edmonton because it is too hard and they do not want to have their capital locked up for 16 months because they're waiting for permits. And so we need to make Edmonton an area that is investable. We need to have businesses that are flourishing so that we can hire more people, our youth. We talk about safety, we know we need to have more people in safety. You have the credentials, right? This to me is where we as the city need to fill out the gap in terms of what's happening, making sure the economy is increased with industrial taxes and all sorts of other areas of revenue. And then we also need to make sure that we actually meet with the people who have the services and skills as well. Because it's not helpful for you not to have a job in this city, we need it to be flourishing. And so there are a lot of things that we as council, and even just being approachable for investments, in making sure that we are talking with the provincial and the federal government, because honestly, they have most of our tax money, right? The municipality does not have a lot of our tax money. We need to work with the other levels of government together so that Edmonton can continue to be the capital city that has jobs, opportunity for our people.
Thank you. This brings to our last and the final round, and again, it will be a very open, keeping it light. How would you, Joseph, starting with you, Jennifer, how would you like to wind up your pitch and your appeal, your voters, and floor is yours. Please pardon me if you feel rushed, but if I say try to minimize, use minimum time, 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and wind it up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I am Joseph Ngono. I am not an idealist. I'm a proven manager with the discipline and experience to deliver the change Edmonton deserves. It is time to end the cycle of waste and political excuses. It is time to put people over politics. And it is time to lead with heart and with strength. Vote for accountability, competence, and a voice that is rooted in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rupesh.
Edmonton is at a really pivotal moment right now. So you just talked about, there's not jobs. There's so much economic uncertainty we're facing as a country. There's issues with our province, but it's also a ripe opportunity for our city to take advantage of this time and actually lead. And that's why I got into this race, is because I truly believe it's Edmonton's time to lead. I got into this race because it's not a job or a title for me, it's truly about public service. I've been a public servant my whole career because I wanted to actually make a difference and solve complex problems. And that's what I've been doing for the last 13 years, and I've really, really enjoyed this. And now is the time where I want to get into that decision making and actually make a difference, and that's really why I'm in this race. This is a pivotal election also because the next election, you might not see the organic grassroots independent candidate. This is the first time where we have political parties and third-party advertisers. That's the equivalent of like PACs in the United States. If we elect party-funded candidates who are backed by third-party advertisers, the next election, you're not going to see those independent candidates, like Joseph, like many of us, who are on stage, because it'll be so hard to run because those political parties and those third-party advertisers will squeeze us all out. This is the beauty of municipal democracy. And so do your research, really support those independent candidates. I'm one of those independent candidates, and I hope that folks will vote for me. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking, just again, for V4U and for everybody for being here today. Thank you for being here. Edmonton needs leadership. We need leaders who can listen to the people. We need leaders who have experience and can actually get things done. So many times we elect, we elect individuals that don't have the experience, and they're going to spend 1 to 2 years learning the system. We need to have leaders who can hit the ground running on day one. Who have shown to you that they have already been giving back into the ward long before that their names have been put on this ballot. Edmonton is at a crucial point right now. We have the ability to take our trajectory with all of the people moving here and take it to the beautiful city that we all love, that we all know. And we need our leaders to live in that space of positivity, of optimism, of hope, of what Edmonton is and the city that we all love. And this is, like I said, like Rupesh said, it is a pivotal election for us to vote for somebody who has the experience, who knows what they're doing, who's shown that they can get things done, and that we can continue that path on. So on Monday, please vote to Parmar in Ward CP Winniwap. Thank you.
V4 Radio. Thank you very much. Going to jobs in 2001, actually, as president of the Philippine Media Association of Alberta, again, we held a mayoral forum. The discussion then was talking about permits and how bad the city does its permitting process. So having worked with government, and I can tell you St. Albert is 3 days to get a business permit. Okay, South Dakota country 1 week. City of Edmonton, 4 months to 14 months. Okay, this is a problem. So, are you afraid of change? Don't be, because change equals opportunity. Vote me, Nikki Gopwan, to be your counselor this coming October 20th, because we can make the most opportunity for Edmonton. An opportunity to move the city forward with real solutions, not empty promises. You can keep electing the same people, or your staff, and expect you can't expect the same result, right? Because if you do keep on electing the same people, you're going to get the same result. Governance is not about ideology. It's about policies that work. Since launching my campaign, March 8th, I'm the first one to launch in the war. I've knocked thousands and thousands of doors and listened to your concerns, your frustrations, and your hopes. And what I've heard is clear. People feel ignored. It's time to stand up and make your voice heard. Not the voices of those backed by the unions or political parties pretending to be independent. When decisions are made in City Hall, whose voices will they hear? Yours or your backers? On October 20, on Monday, I'm asking for your vote. Vote for someone who's independent, accountable, and ready to fight for you. I'm Nicky Gopar, and together we can make our city safe, strong, and business-friendly again. Thank you.
Last but not least, Jennifer Rice, please.
Yes, I'm your current City Councilor, Jennifer Rice. And also, I am an independent candidate, incompetent to seek re-election, based on many people's requests. So all of us here sitting here, I want to thank you and put your name forward. We all independent candidates here. That is actually tells the story and sends a message to the voters. We are here representing you. We are here not to represent any interest group, any third-party advertising group, any special interest focus group, or any party. We are here, stand firmly together to represent the people you want to build the city with affordability. You can have better quality of life. Also, better economy situation, you have better stable job and better income. And even for our younger generation, when you graduate from school, you will find a job right away. You will get income to buy a house. That affordability is our city's goal for everyone who call our city home. And also, you want take your kids, take your parents, our seniors, walking on the street, relaxing, enjoying our beautiful city. How we can make sure that happen? Safety. And how we can make that happen? Our policy, there are so many policies we need to change to make sure you feel this is your home, you feel safe, you feel comfortable walk on the street every day, and with a stable job, with better income. And at the same time, and you have a place to go to enjoy your life, to do exercise, and to read books, to watch movies, to walk your dogs in the park. And for our kids, you have a swimming pool you can go. You can go to spring park, and you can go to lots of amenities and in our community to enjoy life no matter your age. And then another big one is when you pay taxes, you can see the value. You pay taxes. And you can see your money was taken care of and your money spent responsibly. And your money spent wisely. That is how our city physical responsibility and also hold our city service accountable come in. And you other people can do this. How to do this? You have the power to do it. Only when you use it by vote. To vote to define what type of city you want to call your home, you want to continue to live there. So I'm current City Councilor Jennifer Rice. I have been doing what you already asked, and I have the real results. We need the leader with the action and results. This is leader we want to continue and to be safe and in City Council. Thank you. Vote for me October 20th.
Yes, as you get up on Monday morning, October 20th, and you go out to vote, do keep this in mind. pick your candidates thoughtfully in the awards who have been really working hard. And I know if you have liked this episode at V4U Radio, do write to us at v4u@v4uradio.com. I want to hear from them. I'm so blessed, V4U is blessed that we've still got 5 great, enthusiastic, passionate candidates come on the floor today. Just 48 hours, less than that, to speak with us. I really thank you so much. You are distinguished, and I wish you all the best. Thank you. I would just request all of you to please join us in having small refreshments which you have to
Thank you, gentlemen.
do, and sometimes interact as well.